Raffoul Saadeh is a Palestinian rapper. Tomer Naor is an Israeli campaigner and activist. They both live in Jerusalem, and they're both joining me now from our studios there. Raffoul, Tomer, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Raffoul, I wanted to start with you, really. What do you think is the motivation for what we've seen, not just yesterday, where, 3 people were killed, Israeli civilians killed yesterday, but over the last few weeks?
I see a country that wants peace but doesn't give its population freedom. Because for me, peace and freedom are interchangeable. If you want peace, then you have to give the other group of people their freedom. Just like if you want freedom, you need peace. For me, I see a group of people that has been suffering psychologically, economically, and physically for the past decades. And nobody on the international scene, nobody on the national scene, not even the PLO, not the Israeli officials, nobody on the even national scene has given the people any type of hope in any negotiations.
Is that the point? Is that the point in a way? Sorry to interrupt you, but is that the point, that they're not even getting leadership from their own side, from the people that for decades have been sort of calling the shots?
It's more than not getting leadership from their own side. I feel like their own side are limited because their own side is being trapped in the same cage that they are being trapped in. And they're kind of finding a way out. They're suffering psychologically. I'm against any type of violence, whether it's from a soldier to a civilian, from a civilian to an innocent man to a soldier. I'm against any type of violence. But what I'm trying to say is there's a limit to every person that he can psychologically handle.
Right, but sadly, everyone always says we just want peace, we're against violence. Tomer, I wonder how you feel about what you've seen in terms of the last few weeks and the sort of levels of aggression that some young Palestinians are prepared to bring to the field, if you like, now.
Well, I will first say that I hear Raffoul speaking, and he talks about desperation, he talks about feel that they have no hope. Yet, if you would ask me about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I might agree with him, but we keep hearing about it's not about any hope, it's not about any desperation, it's about religion, basically. We see people, Israeli Arabs, that has families, that has everything, that has children and have degrees in university, yet they taking a knife and stabbing innocent people in the name of Al-Aqsa, in the name of Islam. Now, for me, as an Israeli, as an Israeli who holds left-wing positions, who acts for peace, exactly like Raffoul says, it's very hard for me to confront that because I say, well, there's no solution in the end of it, and it's very desperate. I mean, I look at those people, like the people who you take knife and stab. By the way, many of them are East Jerusalem or Israeli Arabs. None of them is Palestinian who live in the West Bank. And I say, well, it's not about politics anymore, it's about religion, and that's something that unfortunately I don't think that we can find a solution within the Israeli nation, rather within the Palestinian nation.
Right, Raffoul, do you think it is about religion, or actually is it about scouting around, young people scouting around thinking, well, this lot have done nothing for us, this generation of leadership, and we need action, and these people, whether it's IS or another group, goodness, they can make things happen?
Nobody brought IS or another group into this conversation. I'm speaking to you as a Christian Palestinian. I'm not speaking to you as a Muslim Palestinian, as a Christian Palestinian that is being discriminated against by the system. Here I see soldiers, I see armies that is being taught to differentiate between an Arab and an Israeli, and that's what I'm opposing. Of course, I oppose the violence, but again, I'm telling you, I oppose the discrimination that I see in the system.
Do you think
not allowing...
Do you think the reference, sorry to interrupt you, the reference to Islamic State, for example, then is an erroneous one, or would you accept that there are young Palestinians who do see something in that and do think that maybe that's a better route to take?
I think, my friend, that the Islamic State is a whole different problem than the one we're facing here. Here we're facing a unique problem. A problem that I've faced, as a citizen for decades in East Jerusalem. This is a different problem. This has, when you're talking about the Islamic State, you know, you deal with a whole different group of people, a whole different culture.
Okay,
you know,
let me
this is
take
the
that. Let me
Palestinian
take that
culture.
to.
We're
let me
dealing
take-
with an occupation.
Yeah, let me take that to Tomer then. I mean, the message there clearly, Tomer, is that Raffoul doesn't believe that the extremes that youngsters are seeing around the region are having an influence necessarily on them.
I mean, reality says different, and I really believe Raffoul that he sees it as a discrimination. I have to say that none of us is being taught to hate Arabs, something that I wish I could have said about Palestinians. We see Palestinian television. We see kids bring to this world taught about hating Jews, hating Israelis, hating occupation. We see hatred that many times is, as Raffoul says, inherent inside of them. That's not something we can actually deal with. Yet, as Raffoul says, there are extremists, and I don't think that he represents them. And I also think that those extremists are the ones causing all the problems now. Now, you want to talk about the hope. Mahmoud Abbas, he is the leader. He stand in the UN about 2 weeks ago and says that the peace agreement, the peace concept is dead. I mean, if I am a young Palestinian and I hear that together with all the propaganda about the Jews are taking over Al-Aqsa, I mean, that brings something. And I have to agree with Raffoul. The leadership of the Palestinian lost direction. And hopefully, maybe young leaders, as Raffoul, can take the lead and lead the Palestinians to a new generation of peace.
Well, let me just ask you both briefly, this issue about young leaders. I mean, we always hear, if I were to put a question to a senior leader, Palestinian leader or Israeli leader, to make a remark about their own Israelis or Palestinians, they will always, almost always, turn it around and say, no, the issue's not with us, it's with the other side. How do you recreate an environment in which both sides recognise that both sides have got issues to deal with? Raffoul.
Every human makes mistakes. You have to spot out these mistakes. And when you say that the Palestinian leadership makes mistakes, the Israeli leadership also is filled with mistakes. The people, you know, as me and my Israeli friend here, we were speaking outside and it was a normal conversation. We get along. But the system makes us hate each other. And I feel like that's the gap we need to address. You know, every human being can love one another. Everybody wants to live, laugh, and love. But you need to start speaking to the other side. And when there's a wall separating two groups of people, you can't speak to the other side.
Okay, Raffoul, I'm going to have to stop it there. Tomer, sorry to cut you short on that one, but thank you both very much indeed for your contributions to a debate. I'm just being told, actually, I think we've got a few pictures of the latest stabbing in East Jerusalem, if I'm right. As we look at these, Tomer, it just gives us an opportunity really to get your sort of closing thoughts on this. Tomer.
Yeah, okay. I just want to say that right before I went into the studio, I got text messages and WhatsApp messages. There was a stabbing right next to my house. It's not East Jerusalem, it's West Jerusalem. It's next to the city. And that's the reality we have to live with. The reality that in my first conversation in the morning with my girlfriend, I telling her, watch your step, be aware, like look behind your back and think about it. I think this morning when you spoke with your friends and wife, you just tell them, have a great day. And that's the reality we have to live in Jerusalem those days. I have to agree with Raffoul. I have to say that leadership will always talk politics. Let's bring it to the people. I think that we can get along the moment we're going to love each other and love ourselves better than we're going to love stupid religion and politics. We're going to find the way to peace. Raffoul, I give you my hand.
Well, that's a very uplifting remark on which to end, obviously, a very difficult discussion.